1922, deep beneath the scorching sands of Egypt's Valley of the Kings, a single step changed history forever. It was the time no one thought existed, a boy king lost to the time, now ready to be revealed. But with the treasures came whispers of a deadly curse. This is the story of Tutankhamun, the forgotten pharaoh, and the greatest archaeological discovery of the 20th century. Before he became a legend, Tutankhamun was just a boy. Born around 1341 BC, his original name was Tutankhamun, meaning living image of Aten, the sun disk worshipped during his father's controversial reign. His father, Akhenaten, tried to overthrow Egypt's traditional religion, replacing dozens of gods with just one, the Aten. The temples of Amun were shut down, statues smashed, priests cast out. Egypt was in spiritual chaos. Tutankhaten grew up in this religious revolution, possibly in the city of Amarna, the capital of Akhenaten built from scratch. But when Akhenaten died, possibly suddenly, a power vacuum has formed. At just 9 years old, Tutankhaten was placed on the throne, a boy king controlled by powerful advisors and generals. His closest allies, two ambitious men, a vizier and Horemheb, a general. They used the boy to quietly undo his father's revolution. Temples to the old gods were reopened. The god Amun returned. Tutankhaten even changed his name to Tutankhamun, living image of Amun. The message was clear. The old ways were back. Despite being a pharaoh, Tutankhamun remained a child, struggling with health issues. CT scans and DNA analysis show he had a clubfoot, malaria, and may have suffered from bone disease. He walked with a cane. In fact, over 130 walking sticks were found in his tomb. He was also married young to his half-sister, Ankhesenanum. They likely had two daughters, both born stillborn. Their tiny mummified bodies were found buried in his tomb. Tragedy followed him, and at just 18 or 19, he died suddenly. No record explains how. Was it an accident, an infection, or murder? His death remains one of the ancient Egypt's greatest mysteries. With no one surpassing his lineage, Tutankhamun's legacy was wiped out. His name chiseled out of monuments. Egypt moved on. His son was hidden, buried beneath rubble, until it was rediscovered over 3,000 years later. Fast forward to the early 1900s, Egypt Valley of the Kings had been picked clean by archaeologists and looters. But one man, Howard Carter, was convinced there was still something left. A small pharaoh, barely remembered in history, whose tomb had never been found. Lord Carnarvon, a wealthy British aristocrat, funded Carter's research. After 5 fruitless years, Carnarvon was ready to pull the plug, but Carter begged for one more season. And in November 1922, his team uncovered a set of stone steps hidden beneath centuries of rubble. A sealed doorway appeared with a faint royal cartouche, Tutankhamun. Carter sent a telegram to Carnarvon. At last have made wonderful discovery in Valley, a magnificent tomb with seals intact. On November 26, 1922, Carter held a candle to a small breach in a doorway. Carnarvon asked, "Can you see anything?" Carter whispered, "Yes, wonderful things." Inside was a dazzling treasure trove. Golden chariots, bats, statues, and a solid gold coffin. In all, over 5,000 artifacts were packed inside a small tomb. It was untouched for more than 3,000 years, a miracle in Egyptology. At the heart of it all was the stunning gold death mask, now one of the most iconic images in history. The boy king wasn't laid to rest in one coffin or even two. He was sealed inside a series of 4 sarcophagi, each nested within the other, like a royal puzzle of death and divinity. The outermost was a massive rectangular quad-sided sarcophagus, weighing several tons with a lid so heavy it took multiple men to lift. Inside were 3 nested coffins, each more extravagant than the last. The first coffin was made of gilded wood, adorned with glass and semi-precious stones. The second, also wooden and gold-covered, featured more intricate inlays with a detailed image of the pharaoh holding the crook and flail, symbols of kingship and power. But the final innermost coffin was breathtaking. Over 240 pounds of solid gold, crafted with extraordinary detail. Tutankhamun's serene face was sculpted into the lid, framed by the royal names, headdress, and false beard. It wasn't just burial, it was a statement. This is a god on earth. And resting on the pharaoh's face was the most iconic object of all, the golden death mask, made of solid gold and inlaid with lapis lazuli, obsidian, and turquoise. It bore the features of the young king, idealized in divine form, meant to guide him into the afterlife. Sealed away in total darkness for over 3 millennia, these coffins preserved not just a body, but a legend. The discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb changed everything. It ignited a global obsession with ancient Egypt, the art, the gods, and the mystery. Museums flooded with visitors. Egyptomania swept the world. Tutankhamun went from forgotten pharaoh to the face of ancient Egypt. His golden mask remains one of the most visited and photographed artifacts of the world. And the tomb, still the only one from the Valley of the Kings, found nearly completely intact. In the end, it wasn't military might or grand temples that made Tutankhamun immortal. It was what he left behind, untouched by time, buried in silence, waiting to be found. And in that moment, the boy king finally earned his place in history.